Welcome to EnglishPass Podcast, brought to you from our local studio in Vancouver. I'm your host, Tim, and today we're diving into an exciting topic, coffee and tea. Whether you're a beginner or intermediate learner, in this podcast we're helping you level up your English listening and reading skills. And before we get started, let me tell you that the sponsor of this episode is TypeFit, keyboard typing practice and learning service. Now let's talk about the weather in Vancouver on Thursday, January 29, 2026. It's currently 9 degrees Celsius, which is about 48 degrees Fahrenheit, with light rain conditions. With 93% humidity and light rain, I'm not sure if I should walk to work or just swim there. Today, we're exploring something really interesting: coffee and tea. This is an exciting subject for English learners because it covers a lot of practical vocabulary and real-world situations. So let's dive right in. Coffee and tea are the two most popular hot beverages in the world, consumed by billions of people every single day from the moment they wake up until the sun goes down. While they might seem like simple drinks found in any kitchen, they are actually complex substances with rich histories, unique chemistry, and deep cultural importance. To understand coffee and tea, we must first look at what they actually are and how they differ at a biological level. A beverage is simply any drink other than water, and in the world of beverages, these two reign supreme. Coffee is a drink made from the roasted seeds of the coffea plant, often called coffee beans, though they are not actually beans at all but the seeds of a small red fruit. Tea, on the other hand, comes from the leaves of a single plant species called Camellia sinensis. Every true tea in the world, whether it is green, black, or white, starts from this same plant, and the differences in flavor come entirely from how the leaves are processed after they are picked. The history of these drinks is filled with legends and accidental discoveries. For coffee, the most famous story takes us to the highlands of Ethiopia. It is said that a young goat herder named Kaldi noticed his goats became unusually energetic after eating the bright red berries from a certain bush. They were dancing and refused to sleep at night. Kaldi tried the berries himself and felt a similar rush of energy. This led to the discovery of coffee as a stimulant, which is a substance that increases activity in the body and mind. Tea has an even older legend originating in China. It is said that the Emperor Shen Nong, who was a herbalist, was sitting under a tree while his servant boiled drinking water. A leaf from a wild tea tree drifted down into the pot, changing the color and aroma of the water. The emperor took a sip, found it refreshing, and the practice of tea drinking was born. These stories show how humans have always been looking for ways to use plants to change how they feel. When we talk about the growth of these plants, we use the word cultivation. The cultivation of coffee and tea requires very specific climates. Coffee trees thrive in what is known as the bean belt, a tropical strip of the earth between the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. They need consistent rain, rich soil, and high altitudes to produce the best flavors. Tea is slightly more hardy but generally prefers acidic soil and misty, mountainous regions. The process of turning a raw plant into a finished drink is quite labor-intensive. For coffee, the fruit or cherry must be harvested and the seeds inside must be removed, dried, and then roasted. Roasting is where the magic happens, as the heat triggers chemical reactions that create the hundreds of different flavor compounds we recognize as coffee. For tea, the leaves must be withered, rolled, and then allowed to undergo oxidation. Oxidation is a natural chemical process where the enzymes in the tea leaves react with oxygen in the air, turning the leaves from green to brown or black. This is the same process that makes an apple turn brown after you take a bite. There are many different types of coffee and tea that people enjoy across the globe. In the world of coffee, the two main species are Arabica and Robusta. Arabica is known for its sweet, complex flavors and higher acidity, making up about 60% of the world's production. Robusta, as the name suggests, is a much tougher plant that is easier to grow but has a more bitter, earthy taste and significantly more caffeine. In the world of tea, the variations are based on the level of oxidation. Green tea is not oxidized at all, which is why it keeps its fresh, grassy color and flavor. Black tea is fully oxidized, giving it a bold, dark profile. Oolong tea sits somewhere in the middle, being partially oxidized to create a wide range of floral or nutty tastes. Let us look at some real-world examples of how these drinks are integrated into daily life. In Italy, coffee is not just a drink, it is a social ritual. If you visit a coffee bar in Milan or Rome, you will see people standing at the counter to drink an espresso quickly. This is a very concentrated form of coffee made by forcing hot water through finely ground beans at high pressure. The Italians take this so seriously that there are specific rules. For example, many Italians believe you should never order a cappuccino after 11 in the morning because the milk is considered too heavy for the digestive system later in the day. Moving across the globe to Japan, we find a completely different approach to tea. The Japanese tea ceremony, known as chanoyu, is a highly choreographed ritual involving the preparation and presentation of matcha, which is a powdered green tea. It is not about drinking the tea quickly to get a boost of energy. Instead, it is about mindfulness, respect, and tranquility. Every movement, from the way the tea is whisked with a bamboo brush to the way the bowl is turned, has a specific meaning. This shows how a simple infusion, which is the process of soaking plant material in liquid to extract its flavor, can become a spiritual practice. In the United Kingdom, afternoon tea became a social standard in the 19th century. Because there was a long gap between lunch and dinner, the Duchess of Bedford began requesting tea and light snacks in the late afternoon. This grew into a national tradition involving black tea served with milk and sugar, accompanied by scones and sandwiches. It represents a moment of pause and social connection in a busy day. Meanwhile, in Ethiopia, the traditional coffee ceremony is a centerpiece of social and communal life. The process can take hours as the beans are roasted in a pan over an open fire, ground by hand, and brewed in a special clay pot called a jabina. The aroma, or the distinctive smell of the roasting coffee, fills the air, and guests are served 3 rounds of coffee, each getting progressively weaker. Another fascinating example is the spiced tea of India known as masala chai. In almost every street corner in India, you can find a chaiwala, a person who prepares tea by boiling black tea leaves with milk, sugar, and a blend of aromatic spices like ginger, cardamom, cloves, and cinnamon. It is a warm, comforting drink that is deeply woven into the fabric of Indian society. In contrast, in Turkey, coffee is prepared in a small pot called a sezv. The coffee is ground into an extremely fine powder, almost like flour, and boiled with water and sugar. It is served unfiltered, meaning the grounds settle at the bottom of the cup. It is so thick and strong that there is a tradition of turning the cup over after drinking and reading the patterns left by the grounds to tell a person's fortune. One common misconception is that all tea comes from the tea plant. Many people enjoy chamomile, peppermint, or hibiscus tea, but these are actually herbal infusions or tisanes. They do not contain leaves from the Camellia sinensis plant and therefore are usually naturally caffeine-free. Another nuance involves the amount of caffeine in these drinks. While a cup of coffee generally contains more caffeine than a cup of tea, tea leaves actually contain more caffeine by weight than coffee beans before they are brewed. However, because we use more coffee beans to make a cup than we use tea leaves, the final coffee beverage ends up being the stronger stimulant. The chemistry of these drinks is also quite different. Coffee is rich in oils and acids that contribute to its heavy mouthfeel. Tea is high in polyphenols and tannins, which are compounds that can give tea a slightly dry or astringent feeling on the tongue. Similar to the feeling you get when drinking red wine, these compounds are also antioxidants, which many scientists believe can help protect the cells in our bodies from damage. This is why many people view tea as a health-conscious choice, though coffee also offers many health benefits, including improved focus and physical performance. As we look at the modern world, the way we consume these drinks continues to evolve. We are currently in what many call the third wave of coffee, where coffee is treated more like a fine wine or craft beer. Consumers are interested in the specific farm where the beans were grown, the variety of the plant, and the precise temperature of the water used for brewing. Similarly, high-quality loose-leaf teas are becoming more popular as people move away from mass-produced tea bags in search of more delicate and authentic flavors. Whether it is a quick espresso at a busy train station or a slow, meditative cup of green tea in a quiet garden, these two beverages continue to shape our mornings, our social lives, and our global economy in ways that few other substances can. By understanding the journey from a simple leaf or seed to a steaming cup, we can better appreciate the complex flavors and traditions that have been part of human history for over 1,000 years. And that's all for today's episode of EnglishPass Podcast. I hope you found this helpful. Remember to practice what you've learned and don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we improve. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and join us next time. Let me remind you that the sponsor of the episode is TypeFit, and I suggest to check the link at the description. I'm Tim, and I'm excited to be your host for many more fascinating episodes to come. Until then, keep learning